dear listeners. Welcome back to another episode of Learning English with Linda and Leo. I'm Linda, and as always, I'm here with my co-host Leo. Today, we have a really exciting topic for you, something big. Right, Leo?
Oh, it's definitely big, Linda. In fact, it's the biggest. We're talking about the tallest building in the world, the Khalifa Tower, also known as the Burj Khalifa.
That's right. The Khalifa Tower is located in Dubai, which is in the United Arab Emirates, or UAE. It's one of the most famous landmarks in the world. Have you ever seen it in person, Leo?
I haven't seen it in person, but I've watched many videos and read a lot about it. It's such an impressive structure. Just imagine a building that reaches up to the sky.
It's unbelievable. The Khalifa Tower is over 828 meters tall. That's around 2,717 feet. It's more than twice the height of the Empire State Building in New York.
Yeah, it's so tall that if you're at the very top, you can actually see the sunset twice. Once from the bottom and then again from the top because of how high up you are.
Wow, that's amazing. And think about how much work it took to build something like that. Construction started in 2004 and finished in 2010, so it took about 6 years to build. That's a long time, but for such a huge building, it makes sense.
Absolutely. You know, Linda, one of the things I find interesting is why they built it so tall. Do you know why?
Well, Dubai is a city that's known for doing things in a big way. They wanted to create something that would make people around the world notice Dubai. And what better way to do that than by building the tallest structure on Earth?
Exactly. It's not just about having a tall building. It's about showing the world what Dubai can do. The Khalifa Tower is a symbol of progress, success, and modern engineering. It also attracts millions of tourists every year.
Right, and it's not just a building for people to look at. It's full of all kinds of spaces, offices, hotels, apartments, and even restaurants. There's even an observation deck on the 148th floor, where visitors can get a stunning view of the whole city of Dubai.
Can you imagine being up that high? It must feel like you're standing on top of the world.
Oh, definitely. And for our listeners, if you ever get the chance to visit, make sure you go up to the observation deck. You'll see not just Dubai, but also the desert and the ocean in the distance. It's breathtaking.
It sure is, but let's take a step back for a moment. We mentioned that the tower is called Khalifa Tower or Burj Khalifa, but do you know who it's named after?
Good question. Leo, the tower is named after Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan, the president of the United Arab Emirates. He played a big role in supporting the construction of the tower, so they named it in his honor.
That's right. It's a way of showing respect and gratitude for his leadership. And speaking of leadership, this tower represents more than just a building. It represents how far humans can push their limits.
Yes, it's a great example of what people can achieve when they work together and have big dreams. But let's talk more about how the building was made. I think our listeners would love to hear about that, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. Building something this tall is not easy. It takes careful planning, special materials, and smart engineers. The foundation of the Khalifa Tower is incredibly strong. It has to be to support such a tall structure.
Right, they used over 330,000 cubic meters of concrete just for the foundation. And that's not all. They used special high-strength glass and steel to make sure the building is safe and stable, even in high winds.
Safety is super important when you're building something this tall. They even had to think about how the tower would handle the heat of the desert. Dubai can get very hot, so they designed the building with special materials to keep it cool inside.
That's a really interesting point, Leo. So, the design of the tower isn't just about looking beautiful. It's also practical for the climate. I think that's something many people don't realize.
Exactly. The shape of the tower, with its narrowing as it gets higher, helps it stay strong against the wind. And the shiny glass surface reflects the sun's heat, making it more energy efficient.
It's amazing how much thought goes into something like this. It's not just about making it tall, but making sure it works well in the environment it's in.
Absolutely, and that's what makes the Khalifa Tower so special. It's not just a record-breaking building, but also a marvel of modern architecture and engineering.
And we're only scratching the surface, Leo. There's so much more to talk about. And we'll dive deeper into the inside of the Khalifa Tower and what makes it such an exciting place to visit and live in. And now, let's explore the inside of the Khalifa Tower. Right, Leo?
Absolutely. We mentioned before that the tower isn't just something to look at, it's also full of incredible spaces. Let's start by talking about the hotel inside the tower. Did you know there's a luxury hotel called the Armani Hotel?
Oh yes, the Armani Hotel is one of the most famous parts of the tower. It was designed by the fashion designer Giorgio Armani. The hotel has 160 rooms, and every room is designed with his unique style, sleek, modern, and very elegant.
It's not just a place to sleep, it's an experience. Staying there feels like living in luxury. And the service is top-notch, too. Guests are treated like VIPs.
Imagine waking up in a room that looks over the whole city of Dubai. You can see the buildings, the desert, and the ocean all from your window. It's like living in the clouds.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And it's not just the hotel. The Khalifa Tower also has luxury apartments where people actually live. Can you imagine calling the tallest building in the world your home?
That would be incredible. There are over 900 apartments in the tower. Some people live there year-round, and others have it as a second home. These apartments are huge, and they have some of the best views in the world.
And the best part, the people who live there can use a lot of the special services the tower offers. For example, they can use the swimming pools, fitness centers, and even get room service from the hotel.
Right, it's like living in a 5-star resort. And speaking of special services, let's talk about the offices. Many companies have offices inside the Khalifa Tower. Can you imagine going to work every day in such an impressive building?
That would make going to work a lot more exciting. The offices are on the lower floors, but they're still high enough to have amazing views of the city. It's not your average office building.
Not at all. And did you know there's also a sky lobby? It's like a fancy waiting area on the 123rd floor. People who work or live in the building can go there to relax or meet with others. It's a great place to take a break with a beautiful view.
That's really cool, and speaking of views, we can't forget about the at the top observation deck. It's one of the most popular places for visitors. You get to stand on the 148th floor and see the entire city of Dubai.
It's a must-see if you visit the Khalifa Tower. There's even an outdoor terrace where you can feel the wind and get a real sense of how high up you are. It's not for people who are afraid of heights, that's for sure.
Definitely not, but for those who love a good view, it's perfect. People say you can even see as far as 95 kilometers away on a clear day. That's about 60 miles.
It's mind-blowing. And if you get hungry while you're up there, don't worry, there's a restaurant too. It's called a Atmosphere, and it's the highest restaurant in the world. You can enjoy a meal while looking out at the city.
That sounds like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Imagine having lunch or dinner that high up. It's not just about the food, it's about the entire experience.
Exactly, and the restaurant is very fancy. They serve gourmet food, which means it's very high quality and beautifully presented. It's the perfect place for a special occasion, like a birthday or anniversary.
Speaking of special, let's not forget about the Dubai fountain outside the Khalifa Tower. I think this is one of the coolest parts about visiting the tower. Have you ever seen the fountain show, Linda?
I haven't seen it in person, but I've watched videos of it. It's stunning. The Dubai fountain is right outside the tower, and it's the largest choreographed fountain in the world. The water dances to music, and there are lights that make it look magical.
Yes, the water jets can shoot up to 150 meters in the air, which is almost as tall as a skyscraper. The show happens every evening, and it's free for everyone to watch. It's a great way to end a day at the Khalifa Tower.
Absolutely, after exploring the tower, enjoying the views, and maybe even eating at the restaurant, you can head outside and watch the fountain show. It's like the grand finale of a perfect day in Dubai.
And here's something fun for our listeners to know: the fountain shows are set to different kinds of music. Sometimes it's classical music, and sometimes it's modern pop songs. You never know what you're going to hear.
That's right. It makes each show unique. So if you go more than once, you'll get a different experience every time.
The Khalifa Tower really is a place where you can experience so many things: luxury, amazing views, and fun entertainment. No wonder it attracts millions of tourists every year.
It's a place where you can see how modern technology and design come together to create something extraordinary. And for our listeners, if you ever get the chance to visit Dubai, make sure to put the Khalifa Tower on your list.
Yes, it's definitely a must-see, but we're not done yet. And we'll talk about some of the challenges and problems they faced when building the tower. It wasn't all easy, and we'll explore how they overcame those obstacles.
That's going to be really interesting. And we'll learn about the behind-the-scenes stories of building the Khalifa Tower, and we also dive into the challenges and success stories behind building the tallest structure in the world. Right, Leo?
That's right, Linda, and we talked about how tall and beautiful the Khalifa Tower is and what you can find inside it. And now we're focusing on something just as important: what it took to build this incredible structure.
Exactly, building a tower like this was not easy. In fact, it was one of the most complicated construction projects ever. Can you imagine how much planning, work, and problem-solving it took to make it happen?
It's hard to imagine. The project faced a lot of challenges, from dealing with extreme heat to making sure the building could stand tall and strong winds. Let's start with one of the biggest issues: the foundation.
Yes, the foundation is one of the most important parts of any building, and for the Khalifa Tower, it had to be extra strong. The ground in Dubai isn't as firm as in other places, so they had to dig very deep to make sure the tower would be stable.
That's right, the foundation is made of reinforced concrete, and they had to use special techniques to make it strong enough. In fact, they dug down over 50 meters, which is about the height of a 15-story building, just for the foundation.
Wow, 50 meters is a long way down. And they didn't just pour concrete, they had to test it to make sure it was strong enough. They couldn't risk any mistakes. If the foundation wasn't perfect, the whole tower could have had problems.
Exactly, and even after they got the foundation right, there was another big challenge: the weather. As we know, Dubai is in the desert, and temperatures can go up to 50 degrees Celsius in the summer. That's over 120 degrees Fahrenheit.
That's incredibly hot. I can't imagine working outside in those conditions, let alone trying to build a giant tower. The heat made it very difficult for the workers and also for the materials they were using.
Yes, the heat was a big problem. Concrete, for example, needs to set properly, and in that kind of heat, it can crack if it dries too quickly. So they had to pour the concrete at night when it was cooler. This helped them avoid cracks and made the building stronger.
That's so smart. It just goes to show how much planning and thinking goes into a project like this. They even had to adjust their work schedule because of the weather.
Absolutely. And then there's the issue of wind. When you're building something as tall as the Khalifa Tower, you have to think about how it will react to strong winds. Dubai gets some very windy days, and the higher you go, the stronger the wind gets.
That's right. At such a height, the wind can be very powerful. They had to design the tower so it could stand up to these strong winds. The tower's shape actually helps with this. Did you know the tower gets narrower as it goes higher? This helps reduce the effect of the wind.
Yes, the special shape helps to break up the wind and makes the tower more stable. They also used wind tunnel testing, which means they built a model of the tower and tested it in a room with strong winds. This way, They could see how the building would move and make any changes before starting construction.
It's amazing how much technology was used to make sure everything was safe. But even with all this technology, they still faced another big challenge: money. Building the world's tallest tower costs a lot of money, billions of dollars.
That's right, Linda. During construction, there was actually a financial crisis in 2008, which made things even more difficult. Dubai had to borrow money to finish the tower. In fact, that's part of the reason why the name changed to Khalifa Tower. It was named after Sheikh Khalifa, who helped provide the funds to complete the project.
So, without that financial help, the tower might not have been finished. It's a reminder that big projects like this don't just need good ideas and good workers, they also need money and support from leaders.
Absolutely, but despite all the challenges, whether it was the heat, the wind, or the money, the Khalifa Tower was completed in 2010, and when it opened, it was an event that people all over the world were talking about.
Yes, I remember seeing pictures and videos of the opening ceremony. They had a huge celebration with fireworks, lights, and music. It was a moment of pride for Dubai and for everyone who worked on the tower.
Definitely, and the best part is that the Khalifa Tower continues to inspire people around the world. It's a symbol of what humans can do when they work together and push the limits of what's possible.
It's more than just a tall building. It's a symbol of ambition, creativity, and teamwork. And for our listeners, I hope you're inspired by this story too. Whether it's learning English or achieving your own goals, remember that challenges are just part of the journey.
That's such a great message, Linda. No matter how big the challenge, you can always find a way to overcome it, just like the people who built the Khalifa Tower did.
Exactly. And with that, we've come to the end of our podcast on the Khalifa Tower. We hope you've enjoyed learning about this amazing building and all the hard work that went into creating it.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. Remember to keep practicing your English and don't be afraid to dream big, just like the people who built the tallest tower in the world.
See you next time on Learning English with Linda and Leo. Take care. Bye for now.
Goodbye.